The myth that became real. A story of legends, desperation, and the warriors who answered. The dismissed warning. Ambassador Theron stood at the council podium, hands trembling as he held the data tablet. Around him, representatives from 200 civilizations watched with expressions ranging from boredom to amusement. Honorable council members, Theron began, I bring evidence of anomalies in Sector 977, the old quarantine zone, the forbidden region established 12 millennia ago. That got their attention. Several representatives leaned forward. The sensors detected transmissions, energy signatures matching those in ancient archives, signatures supposedly from Terra. Laughter erupted throughout the chamber. Council leader Arxis, a being of pure energy, spoke with a voice like wind chimes. Ambassador Theron, surely you don't believe in children's tales. Terra is mythology. Humans are propaganda invented by ancestors to justify wars. With respect, I've reviewed original documents. Fairy stories, a delegate shouted. Warnings to children, be good or the humans will eat you. More laughter. Theron felt confidence crumbling. The archives describe humans as dangerous, aggressive, unwilling to accept defeat. They supposedly destroyed themselves in nuclear fire. But what if they survived? Arxis's energy field dimmed, impatience growing. Ambassador, we have real concerns. The Krell swarm has been expanding. 4 colonies went silent. We need sanctions, not fairy tales. But what if we need... what? Extinct monsters from bedtime stories? This session is concluded. Only one delegate approached afterwards. Commander Draxus placed a supportive limb on Theron's shoulder. I believe you saw something, Draxus, said quietly. But understand, they've never seen war. To them, military force is as mythical as humans. What about the Krell? Theron asked. You mentioned 4 colonies. Draxus's expression darkened. 7 now. 3 more went silent during your presentation. I've requested permission to investigate, but the Council wants to give peace more time. Theron returned to his office and pulled up the signals. They were faint, but there. Pulsing from the Forbidden Zone was regularity suggesting intelligence. He cross-referenced with ancient archives, references to species that fought with terrifying efficiency, descriptions of ships that could strike and vanish, accounts of soldiers who never stopped coming. Then he found it. The Treaty of Remembrance, supposedly signed before Terra's destruction, a mutual defense pact. If the Council ever faced existential threat, Terra would respond to a specific beacon signal. Most historians claimed the treaty was fraudulent. Theron decided to check anyway. The beacon control system was buried in the oldest communication networks. He entered coordinates from the treaty. The system accepted them. He entered encryption keys. The system began startup procedures. His terminal chimed, urgent message. Another colony went silent. The Krell had taken 8 now. Theron pressed activation. The beacon transmitted for 3 seconds, quantum-entangled particles arriving instantaneously. Within an hour, every sensor detected a massive power spike from the Forbidden Zone. Something had responded. Something had been waiting. The swarm. Over 10 days, the galaxy learned true fear. The Krell swarm dropped all pretense. Their fleets struck simultaneously at 23 council worlds. Coordinated, brutal, overwhelming. The Krell didn't negotiate. They swarmed over defenses and consumed entire populations. Commander Draxus's small fleet evacuated one world, but his force was the Council's only military response. Every other species had converted defense forces to exploration vessels centuries ago. The Council chamber, once confident, now reeked of panic. We must attempt diplomacy,
Arxis said, energy field flickering. "There must be demands we can meet." "They're eating our people," a delegate shrieked. "The Krell want biomass. They're consuming entire populations." Chaos descended. Theron stood. "The beacon has been activated. 10 days ago, I activated the ancient Terra beacon. If the old treaty was real, if Terra exists, they received our distress call." Silence fell. "And what?" Arxis whispered. "We wait. The treaty promised Terra would respond to existential threats. And if they don't exist?" Theron had no answer. The Council sent diplomatic envoys. Every one was killed on sight. Draxus's fleet engaged the Krell at the Battle of Kelvin Star, buying time for evacuations. His ships fought bravely, using ancient tactics from historical databases. They destroyed 3 Krell vessels before being overwhelmed. Draxus survived, barely. 29 worlds had fallen, billions dead or missing. Arxis proposed one final vote: complete, unconditional surrender. "We have no other choice," the leader said, field dim and defeated. "We tried peace, we tried resistance, nothing worked. Perhaps if we submit, they'll allow some to survive as subjects or slaves." The vote was called. One by one, delegates raised hands in favor. Theron didn't raise his hand, neither did Draxus. The vote was nearly unanimous when alarms began. Massive spatial distortions detected at system's edge. Energy signatures unlike anything in Council databases. Ships arriving through faster-than-light jumps, creating gravitational waves detectable from halfway across the galaxy. Space itself tore open 15 times. Massive vessels emerged, sleek, dangerous, bristling with weapons that had no civilian purpose. The lead ship broadcast on all frequencies. The language was harsh, incomprehensible. Then it switched to perfect galactic standard with an accent no living being had heard before. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the United Terran vessel Retribution, leading the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. We received your distress call. Terra remembers its commitments. Identify your situation and the nature of threat you face." The Council chamber froze. Humans were real. Terra existed. And they came. Theron found his voice first. "Captain Reyes, this is Ambassador Theron of the Galactic Council. We face invasion by the Krell swarm. They've conquered 29 worlds. We have no effective military resistance. We didn't believe you existed."
Pause. Then Captain Reyes responded, and Theron heard something in her voice. Disappointment. "We know, Ambassador. We've been monitoring Council communications for millennia. We know you thought we were myths. We know you dismantled your defenses. We know you forgot how to fight." Another pause. "It's fortunate then that we didn't forget. Transmitting Krell fleet coordinates. We're moving to engage." The 15 human warships accelerated toward the advancing Krell armada with speed that seemed to ignore physics. The Council had voted for surrender, but Terra had voted for war. Part 3. The Warriors. The human ships cut through space like predators. Theron watched tactical displays, barely breathing, as 15 vessels approached 35 Krell ships. "They're outnumbered," Draxus said from his medical chair. "This is suicide." But humans didn't slow. "Council forces, maintain position," Reyes said. "We'll handle initial contact. We need to assess Krell capabilities." The human fleet split into groups. They spread out, creating a wide net. The Krell took the bait. 18 Krell vessels broke position and accelerated toward the nearest human group. The human ships waited until the Krell were committed. Then they moved. Theron had never seen ships maneuver like that. The human vessels spun, rolled, accelerated in directions that should have torn them apart. They didn't just dodge, they predicted, moving before shots were fired. Then humans returned fire. Weapons the Council had no names for tore into Krell formation. Brilliant beams of coherent light burned through organic hulls. Kinetic projectiles at percentages of light speed. Missiles that changed direction mid-flight. Within 90 seconds, 7 Krell vessels were drifting wrecks. Within 3 minutes, all 18 attackers were destroyed or disabled. Not a single human vessel destroyed. Only one showed minor damage. "Sweet ancestors," a delegate whispered. "They didn't just survive, they dominated." Captain Reyes's voice returned. "Council Leader Arxis, we need strategic intelligence. What are Krell's supply lines? Where's their main fleet? Rate of expansion?" Arxis transmitted everything. Projections suggest total fleet size of at least 4,000 vessels. 4,000, Reyes repeated calmly. "We brought 15 ships. Request permission to contact Terra for reinforcements." "Granted. What do you need?" "Just stay out of our way and keep civilians safe. We'll handle military situation." The revelation. Over the next week, the galaxy watched as 15 human ships systematically dismantled the Krell forward fleet. Humans fought with tactics that seemed insane until they worked perfectly. They used stellar gravity to slingshot into attack positions. They hid in asteroid fields and ambushed Krell patrols. They sent false signals to split enemy formations. But what truly terrified watching council members was humans' willingness to take risks no sane species would consider. "They fight like they've already accepted they might die," a delegate observed. "No, they fight like death is simply one possible outcome, not the worst one. The worst outcome to them is failing to protect those they defend." The message from Reyes came 6 days later, reinforcements requested. The council chamber fell silent as Arxis read details. Humans estimated they needed 500 additional warships. Permission granted. The response came within hours. Space didn't just tear open in a few places, it ripped apart in hundreds of locations simultaneously. Theron watched through observation windows as humanity revealed its true strength. They didn't send 500 ships, they sent 2,500. Battleships that dwarfed anything currently deployed, carriers launching hundreds of fighters, cruisers bristling with weapons, destroyers in coordinated wolf packs. "Dear ancestors," Arxis whispered. "How?" Admiral Marcus Rivera's voice answered over communications. "The Council has 200 inhabited systems. Terra alone has colonized 700. We have shipyards orbiting dead stars, factories on barren moons, mining operations in asteroid belts. We've been preparing for 12 millennia. This isn't our full strength, just what we can spare." Theron felt legs weaken. 700 systems. The humans had built an empire in secret. "Why?" Arxis asked. "Why prepare so extensively if you intended peace?" "Because history taught us peace isn't the universe's natural state. Peace is something you build and defend. We hoped we'd never need this fleet. We prayed the galaxy would remain peaceful, but we prepared for the reality that it might not. Hope for the best, plan for the worst. That's the Terran way." The combined human fleet numbered over 2,500 human warships, the largest armada ever assembled. The battle for the Krell home system was brutal. 4 days of continuous combat. The Krell fought with desperation of a species defending their home, but humans fought with the determination of a species that had learned warfare fighting themselves. When it ended, the Krell commander, Hive Primary ZX7, transmitted surrender. "Will you spare the young, the ones who haven't chosen warfare? Can humans show mercy to monsters?" Captain Reyes hesitated. Then, "If we accept surrender, terms will be harsh. Krell will be confined to home system, monitored constantly. Any sign of aggression, we return to finish this. Can the swarm accept these terms?"
"Yes, we surrender." The war was over. The council held a recognition ceremony. Arxis stood before assembled delegates. "We were saved by species we thought was myth," the leader said. "Today we formally recognize Terra as full council member. More, we recognize the galaxy needs species like humanity, species that remember how to fight for protection." Captain Reyes stood to accept. The Council honors us, but we didn't fight for honor. We fought because you needed help and we could provide it. That's what allies do." Her expression turned serious. "Please remember what this war cost. Remember that peace is precious but fragile. Remember that sometimes the only way to preserve peace is being prepared for war. Don't forget again." Later, Theron shared a moment with Captain Reyes on the Retribution's observation deck. "Will you stay?" he asked. "Will humans remain?" "Some of us. Enough to train your defense forces, to remind you the galaxy can be dangerous. But most will return home. We have our own territory to protect." Reyes smiled. "Besides, you need to learn to defend yourselves. We can't always save you." "It's comforting knowing you exist out there, prepared for the worst." "That's the point, Ambassador. You sleep peacefully because rough people stand ready to do violence on your behalf. Every peaceful civilization needs guardians. We're just one species that accepted that role." The Retribution departed soon after. The human garrison remained, a reminder that the galaxy's fairy tale was now its protector. In years that followed, the story became legendary. Species told children about humans who came from myth to save the Council. And in deepest archives, Theron completed his final report. "They thought Terra was fairy tale. Then warships appeared, and we learned the truth. Humanity is real. They were watching, waiting, preparing. When we needed them most, they proved the greatest myths are the ones that turn out to be true. We called for help, not expecting answer. Terra responded with the one thing we'd forgotten how to provide: warriors who fight for those who cannot fight for themselves. May we never forget this lesson, and may we never need to call upon them again. But if we do, I believe humanity will answer. That's what heroes do." They laughed when we said humans were real. They mocked when we activated the beacon. They despaired when the enemy came. Then space tore open and 15 warships appeared. The myths became warriors. The legends became saviors. The fairy tale became our salvation. Ambassador Theron, final report to the Galactic Council, Year 1 after contact.